It's all about ideas, everybody. You know, if you get one good idea in a year, it can make you 10, 20, $30,000 a month. This is what we're going to talk about today. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. Because we are going to be kicking off some ideas. Rob's got a couple. We're going to rock those out. And then as you, as the audience, you get a chance to go in there and go, I think that's a crazy idea. It's not going to work or whatever it is, right? And then I'm going to share a couple with Rob and I'm going to share some resources too on how you can make these things get you to that $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. All right, Rob, you had a couple ideas. What's one of the things you're thinking about?
Yeah, well, one of the things I was talking to a coach of mine, and one of the things that I realized was I am used to telling stories, used to talking about different things, but you know this. I talk about lots of different things because I've done lots of different things, do lots of different things. But one of the issues that you run into when you're creating a business, and this is kind of the problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have, a lot of visionaries have, we see so many different ideas, so many different things, but running a business is really about doing the same idea over and over and over again better than anybody else, right?
Mhm,
Or at least good enough so that you're in the top group of people that people want to buy it from.
mhm,
And I realized that that's one of the struggles that I've had with business for so long is that I'm always kind of I do something, it starts working, and then I've got something else that's on my mind, something else and something else. I get bored quickly, and I won't say quickly, but more, uh, faster than maybe necessary for what I want to do in business.
mhm, mhm.
Um,
Even if you're having success, boredom.
exactly. Even if I'm having success, right, and that's that. It's a blessing because that's what makes me continuously improve. That's what makes me get better. That's what makes me right constantly climb new mountains. But it's also something that if you're running a business, you have to be able to have that consistent everyday kind of like if you remember the Dunkin' Donuts commercial from back in the 80s and the 90s, like gotta make the donuts, gotta make the donuts, gotta make the donuts. Like you gotta have that kind of monomaniacal pursuit of one thing. And so something that I heard Myron Golden say one time that I thought was really powerful. And he was like, when he started his YouTube channel, the goal wasn't to make the YouTube channel blow up and, be viral and all the rest of that. The goal was to go on YouTube every week and I think when he started, he was like, we were going to do it for 2 years. We are going to do once a week for 2 years. Something came from it great. Some didn't come from it great, but that was what he was doing. And I recognize the need to do that because a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do is grow things. And you know the deal. It's consistency, it's compounding interest. And so the idea that I came to with this is one of the things that I'm not great at is consistently putting out content to audiences. So audiences will get a bunch from me and then it'll be like I disappear for a while. And they'll get a bunch more from me and then I'll disappear for a while. And so something that I'm trying to do is to be consistently showing up. But one of the things that I run into when I try to do that is like my level of desire for quality of production is up here. And I realized, because I looked at, the work that we do and we're at, I don't remember how many episodes are we at now?
125.
There we go, 125 episodes, right? And this is something where the idea that I have, I gleaned it from that learning and from this work that we've done. The goal for this was for us to show up and talk and
Yes.
if we got something good great, but it was also just for us to be able to mastermind for our businesses, right? It was already, the value was there whether we recorded an episode.
Mhm.
And that made it so that showing up, doing the background research, doing the work, thinking about things, all the stuff that we have to do, that was just extra. That was fine, but I was already getting the value that I needed out of it, even if we don't do that, even if we just get on here and just chat, right? That's what I had to create in the business, something where just showing up and doing the work is enough. And so for me, the idea came to be with fireside chats, which is basically to really work out with people the key stories, the key themes, the key ideas of thriving in chaos because I know them. I've been teaching them for, 7, 8 years now, but formalizing them in such a way so that I can help more people is going to require getting the stuff out of my head and getting enough
Mhm.
reps to get them into a system that doesn't require me to teach. And so what I'm doing is giving myself 2 years of saying, I'm going to show up twice a week for 2 years talking about this thing. If it takes off and it does amazing, great. If it's just 2 years of me showing up and doing it, great.
Yeah.
And so, but just showing up and telling the story and having one story to tell or two stories to tell per episode, right? And then allowing people to ask questions or allowing us to go in and talk about things. That's really my focus. That's really my goal. And so that's the one idea. And we're gonna call it fireside chats because we're gonna be right here next to my fireplace, just chatting.
So let's think about a how we're gonna get that to $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. Now, first, I gotta tell you, when you have those fireside chats, there are gonna be now let's think about this, y'all. We start thinking about, all right, we're gonna have subject matter. We're gonna have a fireside chat. We're gonna have people that literally come on and talk, right? Is that kind of how, or are you just gonna be one-sided?
It's really gonna be me talking. These fireside chats are really gonna be me talking to my target audience, specifically talking about the 3Ds, as one of my coaches calls them, the dreams, drains, and doubts, right? The dreams that people have of people, specifically the group that I talk to is a group that is right, high achieving but unfulfilled. And they're moved past the space of what can I do? How can I get to success? They know how to get to success. Now the question is, what should I be doing with the rest of my life? What should I be doing with my time? What should I be doing with my money? What should I be doing with my energy so that I can be fulfilled? So that I can live a life that every day I'm excited to get to do what I do instead of feeling living a life of have tos, they get to live a life of get tos. So talking about those dreams, talking about the drains, the things that pull away from them being able to do that, the different external things that get in our way, and then talking about the doubts. There's a lot of limiting beliefs. You and I talk about this all the time, but there's a lot of limiting beliefs. And one of the hard parts about being in that kind of, let's call it the sandwich group, right? You're not the uber successful, life is a dream, everything is good group, but you're also not the struggling to figure out who you are and what you
Mhm.
what you do, right? And are you good enough group, right? They know and they've proven that they can do hard things. They've proven that they can graduate school. They've proven that they can build a business. They've proven that they can do the things that most people in society think is hard. Yet and still, they're struggling with, but who does that? What does that mean? I am. Who am I? And why am I feeling this tension between just continuing to achieve and these other things that I feel like I have a calling for? And so those internal doubts, again, you can't really hard to talk to people about it because it just sounds like complaining. I always tell the story. I got a friend of mine that's originally from Ethiopia, and she introduced me to this. She was, we'd be talking about different things, and she would preface the conversation with, "Okay, so I got to talk to you about a couple of issues right quick, but just so you know, these are first world problems, right?" And that's how she would let me know it's not that serious, but I just need some advice, right? Versus, second or third world problems, which are of a different variety, right? And it's that kind of acknowledgement of, yes, these are problems, but there's people that have it worse than me. And when you get in that space, a lot of times it's hard to feel what you need to feel. So anyway, the fireside chats are really me talking to that experience and helping people to see to be able to articulate it better so that they can understand and really process what's going on. B, to talk to them about the different options that are out there because a lot of times, like I said, it's a lonely space. And so giving them information,
Yeah.
giving them options, and then helping them to see their way out of the dark tunnel, if you would.
The morass of living
Exactly.
life the way you said something key. So now when we talk about the monetization part of this, y'all, this is how, we mastermind. We say, okay, here's what I want to do. Now, what can I create that then monetizes? So
Yeah.
let's jump up. I had a couple ideas on that, if I may share.
Yeah,
You said
please. I,
something
I
key.
was just
You
about
said
to ask
high
you.
achieving, but, and I can't remember that
Mm-hmm.
last part. It's high achievers, but they are um
Unfulfilled.
Yeah, high achieving but unfulfilled. Now, let's think about that. Unfulfilled. What space, as you listening out there, what space does that seem like it's in? Now, here, if you listen to Rob, he has the format. All right, so let's talk about that. The format, of course, is talking head. That's like boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're able to take the talking head approach and do it in documentary style, this is from my research, this is where kind of things are going because there's a lot of talking heads. There's like, even Alex Hormozy has been doing more talking heads and all these kind of things, right? But we start saying, okay, Rob is a book writer as well. So now everything that he is getting ready to talk about should be monetizable by way of something he's probably talked about before. So now
Mm-hmm.
he has his books that he's constantly going to be putting up and saying, okay, all I have to do is sell to get to $10,000 a month. I got to sell 333 of them a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, so 333
Mm-hmm.
of them a day. I didn't put the price in, but you can make some good money. So now
Mm-hmm.
when we start thinking about how am I going to escalate that? All right. With that said, what we had talked about a little bit off camera was what else am I creating? So that is the community building. All right. Now, y'all, everybody with that, let's just do some simple math. $10,000 a month. And you're starting off with the a talking head approach, 10,000 a month. How much would that take from each person? 10,000 a month. So we've got 30 days a month. So 10,000. If you had a program that was $50 a month, right? So divided by
Mm-hmm.
50. So if we've got $10,000 and we divide that by $50 a month, all right? So we got 50 and we got 30 days. So that can bring in about 50,000 a month. Okay, I'm not gonna do no public math because I'm ready to mess something up, y'all. But here, the point is that we start thinking about the community that I'm gonna build. Here's my
Mm-hmm.
$50 a month thing that I'm going to, as a result of having attracted people to this thing, the people that are high achievers but feel unfulfilled. That's the first thing. Would you be interested in coming to this every single month? We start doing the math and say, okay, I want to earn enough to make this make sense. I got to have some, maybe some editors and all that kind of stuff. You can get to $10,000 a month pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, Rob also puts on, and I'm gonna leave some information for you in the description field, is he also puts on I think these are in-person webinars, Rob, or the off-person webinars, the one that we were talking about quite recently. These are actually on Zoom,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah. So we've got some Zoom webinars. So we got a couple of things that we're going to be rolling out. One of them is a webinar that's just our Define a Success webinar that we're going to be rolling out here in April. Or actually, I'm sorry, the end of March. And then we also have a roundtable series that we're doing a couple times a month where people will be able to come and not just kind of listen, but actually interact with other people that are dealing with the
Yeah,
same thing. And we can talk through some of those issues. We're going to be doing that twice a month. I like, kind of what you talked about. As you were talking, I wrote down a couple of
just
things
200
because,
people.
yeah,
I did the math. That's 200
yeah,
people
yeah.
around the world that are, get this, y'all, high achievers but unfulfilled. High achievers but unfulfilled. It's a self-development play. The format, of course, is talking head from a guy who is, military. I mean, from a guy that's achiever himself that has felt that way. He just said that, hey, I get bored on some things. Guess what? You're not the only one. And so, hey, listen, $50 a month to come into this community because we want to talk about that stuff and we want to get you past these things.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking for that left and right. I kid you
Yeah.
not. I was watching something the other day that was so much like an idea that I had, Rob. And I think it was like the commit action guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy that says, I know what to do. I just don't have anybody to
Mm-hmm.
help me do it,
Yeah.
right? And they show him
Yeah.
doing these different things. And that was very similar to your goal mate. And what I'm rolling out is your goal mate because I want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that somebody comes alongside of you and get you to your darn goals, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then on the
Accountability
other
partner.
level,
Yeah.
you got people that are high achievers.
Yeah.
Rob was a high achiever, is a high achiever.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Like
now you
it's
have the
the
opportunity to
life
come
that
in
I
and talk.
lived. Yeah, it's the life that I lived. And to your point, I think That's the distinction because there's a lot of stuff out there for people that are struggling, quote unquote, but a lot of it, especially for high achievers, feels like you know how there's those classes, like there's those swimming classes for like people that ain't never been in the water before,
Yeah.
right? And you like you know how to swim better than that, but you don't know how to swim so you can swim laps. And it's like that class, that's not what I'm looking for. But and it feels weird being like, yeah, I can swim, but you know, it's tiring. I want to be able to swim easy and swim effortless and all the rest of that. And you go to all the classes that's just trying to teach you beginner swimming, and like, no, this is not it. I'm not just trying to survive. I can do that already. Like that. That's really the kind of space that we're in. There's a lot of people who already know how to write goals, how to create to-do lists, how to do all the basic stuff of setting up their calendar. The level that we're talking about is another level, and it's the level that you get to when everything is important, right? It's the level that you get to when you don't have stuff on your to-do list that you're just like, nah, I don't need to do that. That's not that you've surpassed that level of life. You know how to say no to all that stuff. Now, the people that I deal with are the people that everybody that's on their list got on their list because they mean something to them. They matter to them. And now
Mhm.
they're trying to figure out how to manage all of that.
Gosh,
Everything
I
that's
see the
on their list
opportunity.
is there because they feel like they have a calling and it's multifaceted. It's not just, I'm going to do this one job, right? It's kind of
Mhm.
like when you look at, pro athletes after they retire, right? When they were being professional athletes, their lives were pretty easy. And
Mhm.
I'm saying pretty easy
They
comparatively
had structure.
because they knew exactly what they needed. They had structure and they had a goal. They were trying to be the best at this thing. And that's all I got to
Yep.
do every day. I focus on that and that's what I do. Everything else is kind of secondary to that. And then once you retire, you got to figure out, all right, I know I can be successful. I know I can put my mind to whatever I put it to. I know I can do whatever I want to do. But now what do I do? And a lot of times because of that lack of structure, because of that freedom, a lot of them struggle. A lot of them kind of waffle. And it's the same thing that happens to professionals, to high achieving professionals. Once you get to, that director level, that leadership level where now you have employees that have responsibilities and everything, but you're really responsible for deciding where's the company going to go? What are we going to do? What is it going to look like? And that part is where we help people to really figure out how do they steer the ship in a way that makes them feel fulfilled at the end of the day. How do you deal with your freedom
I'm going to
in
show
a
you
way that
something
fulfills you?
to that I had mentioned to you. So now we're talking about, okay, here's the thing I want to do. Obviously, Rob is going to test it out in a very specific way,
Yeah,
but I want to
I
show
like the
you
different
all.
memberships that you talked about.
It becomes so interesting, man. So now we talk about $10,000 a month, but then they get to 20, that's 400 people.
Mhm.
400 people that says, I'll give you 50 bucks to get me in a room full of. Now, we think about the MFN guys, they actually Sam is actually doing that with Hampton. You
Mhm.
have to be a certain level, but really it's just getting together, looking across and saying, "Hey, what do you do? And can I get inspired by something that you do? Can we do something together?" And then Sean, of course, has his yearly thing where he has, some millionaires, some billionaires. Mr. Beast was there, and I think they just changed the name of it to like football, basketball, something like grown people getting together,
Mhm.
talking about stuff. Personal development is never going away, right? But then if you
Mhm.
notice what Rob said, it is to me, I hear, and I'm looking up something right here. I hear continually throughout what Rob talks about, and I mess with him sometimes because I'll say, man, that's just leadership, bro. That's leadership. And I remember I'm going to take y'all back. Leadership was what Rob was starting off with.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
all about leadership. I'm going to go into companies and I'm going to talk to their leadership and I'm going to say, this, that, and the third.
Mhm.
Okay. But I want to show y'all something that I've, one of my tools here. And this right here is going to show you just in the leadership space itself, Rob. Just in the leadership space. And I do this all the time. So, I'm always sending Rob stuff. Can you see it, Rob?
Mhm.
Has it shown
Yep.
up yet?
Yep.
All right. So let's just look at leadership itself. There's all kinds of courses. So what I'm suggesting here is that not only do we have our membership levels, but then we have things that we can sell to people. Look at that. 16,614,036 students are after stuff that aligns with leadership. All right, so let's go into some money. Leadership skills. What space is it in? What niche? Personal development. Now, look at this one. Business management leadership. This course itself, they sell it for 19 bucks. It was last updated on in last year,
March of 24, yeah.
4,634,062. Excuse me? In the
Mhm.
leadership space? Yes. Yes. And then let's look at that. Leadership, practical leadership skills. Now, the angle, if you notice what Rob is hitting it from, is you're a high achiever, but you're unfulfilled. Come on in. If this is you, I'm giving you all a little bit of the sales page. If this is you, come on in. We just charge 50 bucks a month to come in, and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. Here's who I am. Here's my bona fides, et cetera, et cetera. So that becomes other things that can be sold to that group. So let's go into some other stuff, right? Now, I look at some of these leadership. Um, I look at some. So what I'm doing now, y'all, is I'm changing the estimated earnings. I want to see the student levels. I want to see how many students. I want to see where these things are being sold. Look at that. We got LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is doing some things. So that's now telling us where our distribution base is. So that means Rob is going to get somebody to go out there, scrape LinkedIn, and he's going to then put it in front of those folks. Now, I got a virtual assistant right now that's doing the very same thing for me. And in fact, I'm doing it for one of your other programs. I'm literally saying, go get me 100 people. I'm going to put that program in front of them
Mhm. Mhm.
because it becomes a commission opportunity.
Yeah.
Are y'all seeing it? Now, Rob has also worked with a lot of people that have other programs. So at some point, somebody's going to say, hey, man, what else you got? Because I love you. You build up a community. You got your 200 people making 10K a month. You got your 20K, you're making 20K a month with 400 people. Now they go, what else? What else is out there? Right? And
Hmm.
that becomes the opportunity. I look at this. This one right here was selling a long time ago. And this is looking at 2019 leadership foundations, leadership styles, and models. Having been in the military, Rob's got that down pat. I know this sounds like a Rob love fest, but this is what we're doing. This is how we are transitioning. Literally, our two business guys mastermind is like, can we give you ideas that put cash in your pockets? It's
Yeah.
consistent with what I like to do, monetize your life, and what Rob is built to do. So this is where we kick it, right? Look at all these, look at this money, man. 2018, this thing has made 17 million or $7 million at $39.99, and primary focus is LinkedIn Learning.
Mhm.
All right. So this is how I would use something like this, like 4,297,800, cre- creating a leadership development program. So when Rob starts getting all his people in and starts talking to them, and then he says, hey, look, I put together a how to be a high achiever and stay fulfilled. Click
Mhm.
here. That's either a new book or that's a new opportunity to then go out and within his community get to that 10,000, 20,000, or $30,000 a month. The rest is just like, okay, let me go get as many people as I possibly can to get into the community, get that first part, that membership piece, build the community, then build the membership. Then you got other books that they're going to go, oh, what else do you got? They're going to go, what's this book? What's this book? And they're all good books. Are y'all seeing it? This is
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly how to build it.
I love it. I love it. And it's, one of the cool things about the mastermind is that going back and forth gives us different ideas and different things to think about. Because what just went through my mind as you were talking about that, right? And this is something that for me in business, I can see the big picture all day, every day, twice on Sunday, right? But then breaking it down into the smaller parts, it's a skill set that I have, but it's not what I do naturally. It's actually what I had to learn how to do so that I could be effective. And so sometimes I just see the big picture, but then you walking through that, I got to see a couple of things. One of the things that I got to see was about probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, I broke up the things that I teach, especially in Thriving in Chaos, the 5 different steps.
Mm,
Broke that up into different lessons about the individual things that we could teach in that space. But I was trying to do it differently before, and I realized, wait a minute, I could go with my fireside chats and break out those simple individual kind of lessons, right? Building them up, putting a story together, doing the things so that I'm building that for my speaking side of my career. So I'm building
mhm,
that for
mhm.
my coaching side of my career. But then also you then can package those into little $10 courses that
Correct.
just speak on that one thing. It's got 2 or 3 videos and boom, and now you're building a catalog all while I'm doing fireside chats. But again, the 2 years of just doing the fireside chats, 100 fireside chats a year. Let's say the average class has 4 videos in it. That's 25 classes a year. Each of those classes is a $10 class, right? And each of them just sells once, just for the sake of numbers, right? That's $250 right there on 25 classes. But wait, there's more.
There's
If
more.
each of them sells 100, now we talking about $25,000
Yes.
of money.
Yes.
And oh wait, the next year we got another 25 classes. And then you can package those classes together to put them together into different universities. That's where we talk about the $50 a month or the $100 a month, and you get access to all of those classes. Plus, we always up on technology. So I've got the AI course maker that can take the videos and take the information of the class and then create a course for every one of those classes that gives it, and it can gamify it. I think you and I were talking about that. Was that what's her first name? Murgatroyd is the last name. Is it
Yeah.
Marissa Murgatroyd?
Marissa. Yeah.
Marissa, there we go. Marissa
Mhm.
Murgatroyd and gamifying things, right? But it's all the consistency. All of that can come from me just making the decision to show up and
Yeah.
do 2 fireside chats a week, like
That's the
clock.
creating of the thing. Now, this is what we have shown from a consistency standpoint. And this is how I want everybody out there, if you like some of this stuff, go ahead and make some mention in the description field and all that kind of stuff. The consistency is one thing, right? The revelation that, oh, I should be breaking this up into multiple things, taking one piece of information and repurposing it, right? I got a whole video series, man, and these are like what we call tiny courses, right? These tiny courses and these, micro courses, tiny courses. And then just, I'm going to, and we talked about this before. I'm just going to give you a portion because we cannot boil the ocean. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
I've created some boil the ocean courses. And as I look back at it, I'm going, my God, 8 hours? I literally saw one the other day that Tony and
Jenny Graziosi.
Dean Graziosa did. Bro, I was in there and I was like, God, this is too much. Is it really good? Yeah, but it was too much. Right?
Hmm.
And I was
Hmm.
like, I'm out. Even though I could probably spend, 30 days going through it all and become wonderful afterwards or whatever. I just couldn't take it, man. But we start thinking about, and I tell my entrepreneurs this and I'm teaching. I says, listen, that idea is a boy the ocean idea. I literally had a guy the other day, I had to tell him, I says, man, take a scoop. And he started losing faith in his own idea, right? And this is something we did a video on recently. It's like, look, it might be time to pivot or shut it down
Hmm.
because it's a boil the ocean idea. But I'm of the mind that every idea deserves a shot.
Hmm.
This is where I would create a micro page. I literally was doing it the other day, creating a micro page that had one thing on it that talked about a book that if you notice behind me, the new book, right? I'm literally putting it on the page. Now, once you click on that, then the funnel starts, it starts
Hmm.
popping, right? And
I
this
love it.
there was a guy that, man, oh my gosh, I was so excited when I saw it. I knew the game, and I was almost envious because it was like it's called like PDF farming or something like that, and I was like, I see what he's doing. That is so easy. right? And it's all he's basically now he has a real big one on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
But you get you in with like a little $27, hey, I'm just going to show you how to use a PDF to blah, 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 blah. And then once you in, the average order cart value increases because, oh, by the way, here's an upsell. Would you like that? And you kind of go, oh, that's not too bad. Yeah. And then,
Mm-hmm.
oh, and would you like us to do it for you?
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Dude had a run rate. I just got it from one of the like 100 newsletters that I'm on, right? He already made $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
right? A
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
dollar ARR, and it's only 4 months old.
And that goes back to
So
like
you can do it,
I
y'all.
remember I think we talked about this probably 3 or 4 years ago. But Steve Harvey did this video one time and he was talking about, $1 million ideas are a dime a dozen. Don't come telling me you got $1 million idea. Don't tell me you got an idea that's worth $1 million. This is what I want you to do. You go take you a $1 idea, go sell it 10 times. So this now a $10 idea. Then take that $10 idea, go sell that 10 times. Now you got now you got $100 idea. Take that $100 idea, sell that 10 times. Now you got $1,000 idea. And keep doing that. If you can go do that enough times, you'll get to $1 million idea, but you'll be making money all the way from zero to a million. And I think that so often, I know for me, like I said, I can get lost in the big ideas, but I just did something, just scratch pad right here, right? I know that we got 5 steps in our Thriving in Chaos framework, 5 steps of mastering your time. But I also know that those steps have keys in them. There's certain important things that people have to take away from them, right? And I got 3 keys per step. And then I looked at it and I've got a ton of tools, and we can have at least 3 tools per key, right? That help people to kind of matriculate through that. And then I've got stories of people using these things to doing these things. And when I looked at it, it's like all of the information that we could put into there, just doing that simple math, right? It's 115 different segments that I could do on that one topic.
Yes.
And it was so funny because you know this knowing me, there there are times where I can try like I try to fit everything into one segment, right? And it's the whole like you said with Dean Graziosi and Tony, right? It's
I
much
know.
like
I hear it sometimes. I'm like, bro,
drinking
that's
from a
too
fire hose,
complicated.
right?
I'm like,
Right, right.
I'm out. I'm out.
And and I think that part of it for me had been not breaking down the small steps and seeing how, again, right, 115 segments. Again, if I do 2 fireside chats a year for 2 years, that's 200 fireside chats. That still leaves me 85 segments, fireside chats to do over that 2 years on something different.
Yeah. It's why I don't care if I get 5 views on a video, as long as I get the information, because I can chop that video up into so many new ways. You just saw me show you an app that earlier off screen, everybody. Maybe I'll leave you the thumbnail, or maybe I'll leave you a link, but I'm not sure. But I was able to create multiple things, and that is where the money is. Now, that's the sweet. Let me give you the sour, and then we'll wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the
Mm-hmm.
sour. It takes discipline to get past the big thinking.
That part.
And I do not always display that discipline. I'm going to be
Yeah, yeah.
100 with you. You talk
That makes
about
two of us.
bored. I see a new idea and now I can rapidly dissect ideas faster. That's a gift and a curse
Yeah.
because I can look at an idea so quickly. I'll go, oh, I need to do that idea because I got it. I understand what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
just took me away from something else I was doing that also was a good idea.
Yep.
So with Rob, we've talked a little bit about this before. Having the discipline to go, okay, I literally have just broken it down. Now I got to do the thing. I got to place the thing in a spot so that it does what it does, that
Yeah.
it gets its motion so
And
that it can become its own flywheel.
having the discipline to tell yourself, and this is what I struggle with. I literally have to write it on my wall to tell yourself that done is good enough.
Oh man, I know. I
right?
know.
Like
It's
good
hard.
enough
And
is good
everybody
enough.
out there, it's hard, isn't it? And sometimes whatever it is that's the brain, I call them the brain boogers, or I've heard that it's, brain boogers, it, it gets you. Oh, it's not good. It's not perfect. So I says, okay, let's try this. This is what I've been doing with entrepreneurs lately. I've been saying, hey, let's start off with this. It's a bad idea,
Hmm.
right? And I borrowed that from some guy. He said he would do the same thing. The guy that was the partner to Reed Hastings in Netflix.
Netflix.
He says, start off with the idea that it's terrible. Now make it better every single day. And we've
Mm,
talked a little bit about that on some of our other videos of 1% better. So it's a bad idea out the gate. And I go, this is terrible. Nobody's going to want this. Well, let me put it out like this. And let me see what they say.
mm,
And they'll say it either with their dollars or they will not.
mm,
Let me put together some stuff. Let me borrow, and be inspired by a sales page or whatever it is and create it and launch it. That's the part that's hard.
mm.
How many of us, and then we'll bounce with this. How many of us, you've got three-quarter done projects? Like me, 300 three-quarter done projects.
So
So
many,
we give them the
so many.
opportunity, right? I'm gonna leave links for you for what I use to get these ideas out, literally in their current format. Hey, help me. I saw one guy say this once, Rob. It was brilliant. He says, "You want to help me build this?" So he
Ah,
had all these, brainstorms and all that. He says, "Want to help me build this? Click here." So now somebody else comes along and says, "I didn't have the idea, but I'll help you build it." And then
that's
he has
awesome.
multiple collaborations. He might be the money, he might be the brain power. That person is the whatever else. It
Hmm.
spins up. Y'all both make money, and it's all good.
Hmm.
So that's how, in this case, Rob, I think you get to your 10, your 20, and now your brain is working and saying, well, I got some other stuff. I can maybe get to my
Yep.
30,000.
Yep.
That's pretty good money. If you're living in, West Michigan like we do,
Yeah, that's very good
that's
money.
decent money, y'all. That can buy some stuff.
Yeah.
New York, maybe not. I don't know. Right? California, maybe not.
Mm.
Texas, some parts of
Patch
Texas,
of
yeah,
grass.
you eat all that up. But let's start getting out there and putting things out there. We'll help you if you need help, right? We'll do a little bit of, consulting with you. Just leave us some comments that, hey, I would like help with this, and we'll help you build it out. But as you come up with the idea, spin it up, do a little bit of math, understand where you're going to get your revenue from, what you're going to use as your monetization model, and then put it out there. This is the age of the idea person. Trust me when I say that. We've got things that can create fast, furiously, and now you can just put like a little Stripe connection on it now and see if it works. If it doesn't, boom, next. All right.
Gold nugget he just dropped right there.
That's all I had, everybody. Let's do it again next time. We'll see you then.
Let's do it.